Hello, my name is Sasha the Catalyst, founder and author at sashaclark.com. Welcome to Seekers Week, where seekers from all over the world come together to approach the text of Scripture and take a peek behind the veneer of their favorite translation. Our hope is to foster love and understanding that will transcend culture and custom to empower anyone who loves the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to have a meaningful relationship with him and his chosen people, the Jews. This week, against the backdrop of Passover, while we are celebrating our liberation from Egypt, we are going to embark on a journey through what most seventh grade Catholic boys would consider the raunchiest book of the Bible, the Song of Songs. Also known as the Song of Solomon, there are a few facts about this book that we should consider before we dive in. Before we do that, let's be sure we have the essential tools for our journey. In my backpack, I have a copy of Song of Songs in Hebrew and English, a Hebrew lexicon, and if you want a link to my favorite lexicon, you can hop on over to my blog and I have it there, a link for you there. An open mind, a basic understanding of PaRDeS, which we will talk about in a little bit, a heart for adventure, a heart for God, a sense of adventure, and an open mind. I remember the first time I saw a gaggle of seventh grade boys gang up on a Catholic priest in class. We were in a Bible class. I was in Catholic school for 1 month. Don't worry, it was only a month. And I sat in the back of the room stunned as they assaulted him with very specific questions about the imagery of this book. I remember thinking, wow, these kids have really studied the Bible. They seem to have one outspoken leader guiding the whole line of questioning. And despite it being the coldest day in January, I'm sure the young priest was sweating profusely when he asked, "It says her navel is like a round goblet. Would that be like the one we use in communion?" The class all giggled wildly while the priest tried to assure everyone that the goblet was not likely the one used in Mass and quickly changed the subject to transubstantiation. Song of Songs is only 8 chapters, but it seems, frankly, a little out of place, or at least it did to that Catholic priest. Later, as an avid student of the text of Scripture myself, I encountered Song of Songs as a mature adult and could see the relationship dynamics playing out across the tapestry of human history. Now, throughout the ages, there have been 4 main levels of interpretation of Scripture. They make up the acronym PaRDeS. They are Peshat, or the simple plain meaning of the text, Remez, an allegory or an allegorical understanding, Darash, which is like stories or folklore that help to elucidate Scripture, but do not change the plain meaning of Scripture. And it also uses words or phrases that can kind of like connect together. They call it like stringing pearls, where you have a pearl or a phrase in this book, also the same phrase is used in this book and also this book, and you can string them together to make a new teaching. And then the 4th level is sod, which is the secret or esoteric meaning of the text. Now, keep in mind that none of the other levels of interpretation have the authority to alter or change the plain meaning or the Peshat level of the text. During this series, while uncovering some beautiful gems in the words of the Book of Song of Songs, I hope to show you that Solomon was a lyrical historian and how his poetry continues to be an allegory for God's passionate relationship with the Jewish people as well as the rest of the world, especially those who earnestly seek him. Some key facts about the Song of Songs. First of all, Song of Songs is a song. Well, actually, it's 6 songs, each one telling a different part of his history with the Jewish people. It could be a script of sorts, and if it were, it would be like an operetta or a musical at the very least. It's written in the form of a duet, think like, Tim McGraw and Faith Hill, and there are 3 main voices, Solomon, his beloved, and the choir. In Hebrew, we call this book Shir Ha Shirim. Another fact about Song of Solomon is that it's read by most, but not all. In some Jewish communities, it's read during the Passover Seder. Some read it on the Shabbat, the 4 weeks between Purim and Passover. Some Jewish communities have a custom of reading it every Friday night or Friday afternoon to help them prepare for Holy Shabbat. And some communities never read it at all. It was written by Solomon in the earliest years of his reign, which was approximately between 970 BCE and 931 BCE. He also wrote Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and some say a few of the Psalms. As an aside, for those of you who like history, Solomon was the last of 3 kings during the United Kingdom era of the Jewish people that started with King Saul, then King David, and culminating in the completion of the first temple under King Solomon. Unfortunately, things went awry when Solomon's son, King Rehoboam, raised taxes and the Northern Kingdom revolted. But that's a story for a different day. Most of the imagery in Song of Songs is actually an allegory, thus no exact interpretation can be made of the author's intent. This also means that much of what you and I glean from it as our interpretation is plausible too, so that's cool. There are hundreds of commentaries advocating the Song of Songs as a template for a healthy intimacy inside a covenantal relationship, or like a marriage, like it's a book about marriage. And while that is a perfectly acceptable interpretation, it's really not the focal point of this commentary. Song and Solomon also happens to be one of my favorite books of the Bible, mostly because of its mystery and its romantic overtures. It helps describe the dynamic between God and the Jewish people, and it uses relational terms that we can all understand. Nevertheless, it should be understood that my approach to explaining this allegory does not really limit God in any way. It just gives us a place to start the conversation. Solomon penned 1,005 songs and 3,000 proverbs, while Shir Ha Shirim makes up less than 1% of his writings. It's probably the most controversial piece he wrote. Oh, give me the kisses of your mouth, for your love is more delightful than wine. How are we going to be able to keep it clean for the kids? Don't worry, I've got you covered. Are you enjoying this journey so far? I sure am. Be sure to tune in tomorrow when we dig into the first song. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Again, my name is Sasha the Catalyst. I am the author and founder of SashaClark.com, and I pray that you're making connections and seeing things you hadn't seen before, and in his strength, unearthing some beautiful gems. Of course, you're also invited to continue to explore more along the vast shore of Scripture with me and uncover even more buried treasures. So feel free to write me an email or visit my website at SashaClark.com, and be sure to subscribe to my blog and this YouTube channel and continue the journey of a lifetime with me together. Until we meet again, shalom.